Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And about a week ago, I made a video blind reacting to your top 50 contracts in the NHL, top 50 best. That is based on a Google form that I made where I threw like 70 of what I think are the best contracts, as well as I asked you guys to submit in the ones that you think are the best. And I had you guys rate them on a scale of 1 through 5. And now we are going to be doing that with the worst contracts. Here's the Google form that I cooked up, 1 being less than ideal, then working our way down to 5 being maybe the worst in the league. It ended up being like 55 different contracts I put on this. So instead of doing a top 50, I decided to just cut the 41 through 50 and just do the top 40 because there's maybe potentially some that I didn't put on this tier list that you would have had 41 through 50. So we're just doing the top 40. And when looking at this, I'm blind reacting to this. Babiak thankfully made the graphics for this so I can kind of just go in fresh and kind of be shocked by what you guys think the worst deals in the NHL are. I'll do my updated top 10 best and worst contracts in the NHL once we kind of get like 2 months into the NHL season, because I did like my updated ones in like March, so nothing has really changed with that. I just don't want to repeat so much with my content. So instead, I'm turning it over to get your guys' worst contracts in the NHL. So yeah, let's start it off. We're going to be going with 31 through 40 and then working our way down. Up first, okay, Korpisalo at 40th. Yeah, he's like an AHL goaltender making $3 million for the next 3 years. That was crazy that in the Ullmark trade, they took on Korpisalo. Yes, they got $1 million retained, but it's still brutal considering the guys had like an 890 in back-to-back seasons. Drew Doughty, yeah, he's still like an okay number 1, or actually coming off that ankle break, he was pretty bad this season, but I think he's going to be better this season, but still $11 million for like a 35-year-old. He's just not remotely worth that. I think he'd be like an $8 to $8.5 million guy the next 2 years, but it's definitely some sizable negative value. I would maybe even move him a little bit up on this list potentially. Orlov is like kind of tough because in terms of affecting the team, it's not going to affect the team, the San Jose Sharks, that much, considering they're not going to be that competitive the next 2 years. But in terms of raw dollars, which we tried to do within this, to kind of take the team aspect out of it, yeah, this guy's like a $3-ish million defenseman making 6.5. But again, they had to reach the salary cap floor, so I'm not going to kill them. Jacob Trouba, 1 year at $8 million. Effective Verbeek, even though Anaheim, much like San Jose, is not competing for a Stanley Cup next season. The fact that they took him on and actually gave up like a 4th-round pick at Urho Vakanainen to get him was ridiculous. Stamkos, he was actually a little bit better in like the final back 2/3 of last season, but $8 million is still just too much at this point for a 35-year-old. Barclay Goodrow is like maybe the worst player in the NHL that actually plays a sizable role, like 13 minutes a night. That's another one that was like mind-blowing. The fact that Chris Drury was able to get out of that contract and they picked him up on waivers. Jordan Greenway, not quite as bad as a Barclay Goodrow, but still, like Barclay Goodrow, again, if you put him out there, he might be worth negative $2 million. Greenway is like a 4th liner at this point. I think he had like 9 points in 36 games last year. Definitely pretty bad. The Dougie Hamilton one, I've been saying this one for a while. This is a sneaky bad contract. When he is healthy, he is probably like an $8 to $8.5 million defenseman. The problem is he has been consistently hurt in New Jersey. I think he's only averaged like 57 games a season in New Jersey. So when you consider that, $9 million serious number 1 defenseman number, he's like 32, or yeah, I think he's like 32 years old at this point. It's a pretty bad deal, I'm not going to lie. But again, when healthy, he's pretty damn good still. Braden Shen had a bit of a bounce back this year where I don't think it's one of the worst deals in the NHL. But yeah, probably like a $5-ish million guy, and he's like 34 years old. And then Scott Mayfield, I don't know why Lou Lamoriello gave a 7-year deal at $3.5 million to like a meh 3rd-pair right-handed defenseman. It's not some kind of disaster, but again, just overtermed. If you gave him a 3 to 4 year deal at 3.5, I don't think we're killing him for it. Just the fact that there's still so much goddamn term left on this deal that makes it pretty ass. 21 through 30, Timo Meier. This was initially Babiak was like beating the drum in like March, saying that like this deal's kind of ass. I don't know why people aren't talking about Timo Meier more, but yeah, in New Jersey, he's been like a 27 goal, 57 point guy, which is still like a good top 6 forward. But when you're paying him $8.8 million, good Lord. Jakob Trenin, when that deal was signed, 4 years, 3.5, made absolutely no sense. He was like a meh 4th liner. He's good defensively, but again, that much term and that high of an AAV was just nuts. Josh Anderson could be an effective bottom 6er going forward, but he's making $5.5 million. It's a little bit unfortunate. I don't think Montreal's going to be dumping him for assets anytime soon. I think they're just going to wait this out, but it objectively is. He's a $3 to $3.5 million player. Sagan had a big bounce back year. He was like point per game in the regular season, But still, dude was making $9.85 million. Demko deal. You guys put that one decently high. Yeah, I'm a little bit skeptical on this one, considering how injury prone he's been. In 2024, he was awesome, but there are serious risks. I don't know why you gave him this deal now. It's not even like you're committing that much term to him and you're giving him a serious A. Like, there's not a lot of surplus value that I can see in that deal, and I could see it going south pretty quick. And then Letang 3 by 6.1. Yeah, he's just kind of washed up at this point. I don't think that's that controversial. Nick Hague, brutal, traded for him and then gave him that deal. Probably just like an okay third pair defenseman. Josh Norris has the potential to be one of the worst, just because similarly to a Dougie Hamilton, he's been so injury prone the last couple of years. I'd probably move that one up. I'm not going to lie. I like Josh Norris, the player, but he's only averaged like 38 games the last 3 or 4 seasons. Ryan Pulock also, I think, is probably a top 12 worst deal in the NHL, considering how bad he was last season, and he still has 5 years. And this is a guy that has a lot of mileage on his body. I don't expect him to age that much better, and he's already aging like kind of shit. And Andrew Kopp, I don't know if I would have him that long just because he only has 2 years. But yeah, that was a pretty big swing and a miss by Stevie Y. Into our top 20. Gallagher, 2 years, 6.5. Again, it's a sizable overpayment. There's not a ton of term on it, so I don't know if I would have it like my 20th worst contract in the NHL. Merzlikins, yeah, he's been pretty bad the last couple of years. Morgan Riley, I would maybe move up. He's like 32 years old at this point. He's pretty goddamn old. It's not like elite number 1 money, but he's probably like on an actual, he has to be like kind of the number 1 on Toronto. Obviously, that's kind of what's been holding them back in the playoffs to a degree. But yeah, he's like he'd be a good second pair offensive defenseman on like an actual contender that has a much better defense core, if that makes sense. So to get him in his mid 30s, making $7.5 million, it's a lot of money. Pierre Engvall, he just like always balls out. He plays like shit the first 3 quarters of the season, and then the final quarter, he's like, oh, maybe next season if he plays like this, he's gonna be worth $3 million. And then he's just never consistent. He's 6'5", skates like the wind, but plays soft as I don't even know what's baby shit, soft as baby shit, soft as toilet paper. I don't know. We're moving on. Lindgren, 4 years, $4.5 million. Yeah, he was horrendous in New York, his final 2 years, to give him that much term and that much AAV. And they already have Alexiak, Riker Evans, and Vince Dunn on the left side. It doesn't even are they just not, I guess maybe they're moving Alexiak, but still. Makes no sense. Elias Pettersson, this one has potential to go really, really south in terms of the injury. His knee tendonitis or whatnot has been nagging him the last couple of years. He says that he's healthy. I don't know if I would have this high. I would definitely have it like 25 to 30, but I think he's still only 26 years old. So I think as long as he's just like a 70-point first-line center, I know it's definitely going to be a bad deal, but as the salary cap continues to go up, I wouldn't absolutely kill this one to this degree. Andre Palat, legit bottom 6, maybe even a 4th liner at this point. Kakaniemi, I also wouldn't kill this much. 25 years old, 5 years left. You're going to have no aging curve on this. He's an okay 3rd-line center. It's still a bad deal, don't get me wrong, and Carolina should move off him and get a legit 2nd-line center in the process. But 13th worst in the NHL for only $4.82 million. Like, there's a serious, like a lot of these deals I know are going to be ass, almost for effect. There's a chance that this kind of turns around and even becomes $500,000 of surplus value on per year, just because it is such a low cap hit. Severson, right off rip, that was a bad contract, and it only has aged worse. Still has 6 years left and is like 30 to 31 years old. Yeah, not good. Zibanejad, 5 years, 8.5. Played much better once he went on the wing with JT Miller, was around a point per game. But yeah, for a guy that's like 31, 32 years old, be giving him $8.5 million to be an okay winger. Not that good a value for the New York Rangers, unfortunately. And then into our top 10, Couturier, 5 years, 7.75. Yeah, he obviously just got ruined by injuries. And as a result, he would be a really good 3rd-line center, defensive center on a contending team. On Philadelphia, he kind of just has to be like the number 1 center by default, unless Zegras really hits the ground running. But yeah, he's like a 40 to 45-point guy. Lindholm, 6 years, 7.75. I understand that, definitely. He was pretty goddamn bad relative to expectations. Obviously, he was still like an okay 2nd liner. In Boston, I don't see it aging that well. He's already in his 30s. No bueno there. Provorov handles big minutes, doesn't play them very well. 7 years, $8.5 million goddamn dollars, as well as the fact that they've dented Matejchuk and Jackson Smith that are going to need ice time relatively soon. Matejchuk needs a big jump in ice time next season, considering how good he was. Stevenson, 6 years, 6.25, like some of the worst analytics we've ever seen in a season. That is understandable. Brady Shea, yeah, just not good for the Nashville Predators this season. Basically, any deal that they've signed in the last 14 months for the most part have been pretty goddamn bad. Jeannot, 5 years, 3.4. I don't know if I would have this 5 just because it is only $3.4 million. Like, even if he's just an okay fourth liner versus that's worth like $1.25 million, it's still brutal. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, there's just not enough AAV for me to be like, this is the worst. This is going to hold them back so much for the foreseeable future. Grubauer, similar thought process there, just because of the term, it's only 2 years. And don't get me wrong, he actively hurts the team. He's like a negative $2 million player the last 2 seasons, but I don't expect him to play that many games in Seattle. So you're just burning $5 million per season, basically, but it's only 2 years. Huberdeau, 6 years, 10.5. Yeah, he's like a $7 million forward right now. He's okay, but when you're paying him $10.5 million and he has 6 years left and he's 31 years old, it's not going to age well in terms of that. Cody Cece's 4 by 4.5. Yeah, he's just like a legit replacement level guy. I don't know if I would have it second. I think I still would have Huberdeau ahead of Cece just because of the term and the massive jump in AAV. And then Darnell Nurse checks in at number 1. Kind of no surprise there after another not so great playoff run, although the Edmonton Oilers made the Stanley Cup Finals, making $9.25 million for the next 5 years. Seth Jones was not on this, and I don't even know if he was still making $9.5 million with the Florida Panthers. I only went with what these teams are paying. Like Korpisalo was only making $3 million with Boston, although his overall deal is $4 million. Jones, $7 million with the Florida Panthers, so he wasn't considered. I don't even know if he would be on it. But yeah, this is it. This is the full top 40. Definitely interesting in terms of, again, ones that I would move up. I'd maybe move up the Drew Doughty one just because it's so much money and he was kind of lackluster last season. I'd move up the Gaudreau one because he might be the worst player in the NHL. Timo Meier, understandable. Tyler Seguin, Demko. Josh Norris, I would move up. Gallagher, I'd move down. Riley, maybe move up a couple of spots. Pettersson moved down. I'm defending Elias Pettersson after I apparently trashed him in the 2017 redraft. Kotkaniemi, I'd moved down significantly. And then, yeah, I think the top 10 you guys did a really good job with, if I'm going to be honest. I would definitely probably have Jeannot down to like 9 just because, again, it's only 5 years. It's only $3.4 million, maybe all the way down to 10. But he's not a good NHL player. Maybe some of those other guys can at least bounce back to a degree with the cap rising. Okay, I'm recording this after the fact and kind of adding it in, but here's the guys that were also on the Google form that ended up not being within the top 40. Ben Sherratt, 1 year, $4.75 million. When that initial 4-year deal was signed, that was like immediately a bottom 15 contract in the NHL, but at this point, only 1 year, so I agree it's probably not bottom 40. Edmondson still has some solid term at nearly $4 million. Farabee had like 7 points in like 30 games with the Calgary Flames after getting traded there. He's still very young. He easily can turn it around. But yeah, he had not been that good in recent years for Philadelphia and was just straight up brutal for Calgary. Hopefully he can bounce back. Adam Larson has an extension kicking in his like mid-30s, 4 years, $5.25 billion, and is not the defenseman that he once was. You guys should have put Sharon Govich on. I am actually mad at that one. I think this is easily bottom 40. I'd probably have it bottom 20, considering the fact of how bad he was this season. And even in his 2024 season, when he had 31 goals, 28 assists, 59 points, it was a lot of luck. The underlying numbers were not quite there, especially with the guys that Calgary has within their system coming up. I think that he's going to be pushed out of that bottom 6 relatively soon. Burakovsky, 2 years, 5.5. Yeah, he's just been so banged up and hasn't been the same player. Hit the ground running with Seattle, but since then has not been that good. Now he's in Chicago. I don't really expect him to really turn it around that much. The Frederick, I feel like this is probably like some people had it as a 1. Some people might have had it as like a 4. Most people had it as a 1, obviously. It's not ranked here. But yeah, I think he's still only 26, 27 years old. It's below $4 million. If he's a really good bottom 6 forward, it could end up being a pretty solid deal. But yeah, it's wild that they gave him maybe, considering the year that he had this season, you thought an 8-year deal would have been like $2.9 million. Like, they didn't really save that much, even though he had such a bad season. Neil Pionk, entering his 30s. It's a little risky, but he was pretty good in the playoffs for the Winnipeg Jets, so understandable it's not there. Labushkin, just kind of a bad defenseman, third pair guy. Swayman, yeah, I understand not giving up on him, putting him in a top 40 after one bad season, but last year he was like a $2 to $3 million defenseman. He was brutal. UPL, similar thought process there. Maybe he bounces back, but it was concerning this season. Owen Power, yeah, he's still young, and considering this deal, he's 22 years old. Even if he never reaches his potential, as long as he's a good second pair guy, $8.35 million. That's what second pair guys are going to get in like 3 to 4 years. So it's a perfectly fine deal. And Dylan Cousins, yeah, the way that he bounced back in Ottawa, I agree. He should not be on this. So good job. And thank you for responding. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about this list? What other list should I get you guys involved with in terms of on these Google Forms? I absolutely love doing this. We're definitely going to, once the season really starts to come around, some like preseason predictions, award predictions, and stuff like that through the Google Form. See how you guys are feeling. And I'll be seeing you in the next one. Peace.